Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I am discussing the 2025 Boston mayoral race and going into all the details on the race and my updated prediction for the month of September for how I think it is going to end up going on election day in November. Now before I get into it, I do just want to point out the map I'm currently using. I could not find a map that just had the city of Boston on it, so I am using the state of Massachusetts and putting it in yellow to represent the overall city of Boston's election results, and I'll be coloring the state of Massachusetts to serve the purpose of the city of Boston for the sake of this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. The 2025 mayoral race is going to be held. First, there's going to be a primary election on September 9th, 2025 to whittle it down to just 2 candidates, as there's currently 4 candidates who qualified for the ballot, and the general election will be held on November 4th, 2025. Now, the incumbent mayor of the city of Boston is Democrat Michelle Wu, who, even though the mayoral election in Boston is technically nonpartisan, obviously the candidates that are running have their own political beliefs and self-aligned with the political parties. The Democratic incumbent mayor, Michelle Wu, is running for re-election to a second term. Now, back in 2021, Michelle Wu won against fellow Democrat Anissa Asabi George. Michelle Wu was viewed as the more progressive Democrat. Anissa Asabi George was viewed as the more moderate, self-described moderate candidate on the Wikipedia page here. And Michelle Wu ended up winning 64% to 35.6%. So Wu obviously ended up winning by a very large margin in 2021. Now for 2025, Wu's most notable challenger right now is Josh Kraft, the son of the New England Patriots owner, Robert Kraft. He is an American nonprofit executive and is the head of the Kraft Family Philanthropies and board chairman of the National Urban League's Eastern Massachusetts chapter. He has worked also for 12 years as CEO of the Boys and Girls Club in Boston. He is right now the top challenger to Michelle Wu, and in polling is viewed as the top challenger to Michelle Wu as well. It's also worth noting that he is also a Democrat as well. 2 other candidates that have qualified for the ballot, which is going to cause for that preliminary election to happen, which is on, again, as I mentioned, September 9th. So make sure to go vote for that if anyone in Boston is listening. Domingos De Rosa, a community activist and perennial candidate. He is an independent. He is running, as well as Robert Capucci, a former member of the Boston School Committee and candidate for mayor in 2013, 2017, and 2021. He is a Republican candidate. Obviously, he did not qualify to be on he did not get enough votes to be in the general election in 2021, but he is running for this race as well. Other candidates did end up running, but did not ultimately qualify to be on the ballot. 2 notable Massachusetts politicians that did decline to run are Ed Flynn, city councilor from the 2nd District, former president of the Boston City Council, and son of the former mayor, Ray Flynn, decided not to run, as well as Thomas O'Brien, the former Boston chief of planning, and also brother of Boston College Eagles head coach, Bill O'Brien. He is a Democrat, both of which are Democrats. As for this race, Josh Kraft has the endorsement of Rachel Rollins, the former U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts from 2022 to 2023, former Commissioner of the Boston Police Department, William Gross, as well as his father, Robert Kraft, and rapper Meek Mill, close friends of Kraft and the Kraft family, as well as 3 labor organizations as well. Michelle Wu has the endorsement of both Massachusetts U.S. Senators Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren, both of which have given her endorsement. U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley has also given the endorsement, and then numerous amounts of state senators, state representatives, Boston city councilors, organizations, including former Boston Red Sox star David Ortiz, all have which endorsed Michelle Wu. Now, for the polling in this race, there hasn't been a lot of polls that have been conducted in this race, but 3 have been done by some pretty reputable sources. One from Emerson College, top pollster, see their name in a lot of many races. They had a poll from back in February that showed Michelle Wu at 43%, Josh Kraft at 29%, with still about 24% undecided in this race. So Michelle Wu leading, and Kraft and Wu both would lead in advance to the general election, where Wu would be leading by a pretty large, considerable amount. Another poll from back in April came from St. Anselm College, another top college and pollster in the New England region. And in that poll, it showed that Michelle Wu had 53.4%, Josh Kraft had 21.1%, but still 19.5% undecided. So in that one, again, Michelle Wu and Josh Kraft, the top 2 vote getters. Michelle Wu had a very large lead over Josh Kraft, roughly about 32% in that race. For Suffolk University, a University in the city of Boston in July. The most recent poll that we have for this race shows Michelle Wu at 59.8%, Josh Kraft 29.6%, and then about 6.6% undecided in that race, with also Domingos de Rosa also getting about 2.8%. So not a ton of polling data to go off of, but Michelle Wu clearly seems to be in the early polls taken thus far the front runner in this race. And this race seems to be shaping up so far very similarly to the last mayoral race in 2021, where in that race, though it was an open race where the Democratic incumbent Kim Janey ultimately lost in the preliminary primary, Michelle Wu was considered to be the favorite heading into the general election, and ultimately she ended up winning by a very large percentage, just a bit shy of 30 points, about 28.5% to 29% or so in this race. As for 2025, again, not much polling data to go off of besides this, but it does seem like right now Michelle Wu is in pretty good standing in this race, and certainly Michelle Wu's name is probably going to be out there in the media a lot more following her standoff with the President Trump and the Trump administration and ICE and Tom Homan and all that's going on with the city of Boston. So her name, I'm sure, is in the media a lot more. And in the city of Boston, which votes overwhelmingly Democratic, that may actually be helping her in the state of Massachusetts. Just to give you an idea of how Massachusetts obviously votes at the presidential level, one of the most Democratic states in the country, voting for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump by about 25.2%, including Suffolk County, which is where Boston obviously is, voted for Harris by about 52.1%. So a very Democratic area, which also makes sense when you consider the top two candidates for mayor, and Michelle Wu and Josh Kraft, are both Democrats. The question will it be Michelle Wu or Josh Kraft? Michelle Wu certainly, I would say, is the more farther left progressive of the Democrats. Josh Kraft would be viewed as the more establishment Democrat. And it seems thus far Michelle Wu's on a pretty strong path to winning re-election in this Boston mayoral race. What the actual margins end up being, we're going to have to wait and see. How it all breaks down by vote, we'll have to wait and see as well. This is what the map ended up look like for Boston. Obviously, there's a lot of different precincts in Boston and such, and different surrounding towns and parts of Boston as well, but that's what it ended up looking like. The blue being the Michelle Wu color, the green being the Anissa Isabi George color. Depending on the margins, it is possible we see Michelle Wu sweep every county, or town or precinct in Boston. I don't think we will, but that could potentially be happening for this race as well. Could Josh Kraft still win this race? It is theoretically possible, especially if the Emerson College poll ends up being correct, where Michelle Wu only has about 43% and 24% is still undecided, though Suffolk and St. Anselm both saying Michelle Wu starts out over 50% of the vote, while Kraft still sits in the 20s. I think certainly suggests that there's not that much undecided vote left compared to what there was back in February, and it's more likely that not Michelle Wu has enough vote to break that 50% number. And the question will be, I think ultimately when everything is said and done, is how close will this race actually get? Because at this current point in time for Michelle Wu versus Josh Kraft, I have a very hard time imagining Josh Kraft winning this race, unless there's a lot of people in Boston that are voting for Josh Kraft that are being very, very quiet about it. Otherwise, I have not seen much on social media or in news media suggesting that would be the case. So the question, I think, is going to be not whether Michelle Wu wins or not, but what the margin of victory will be. And can Michelle Wu win this race by more than 15%? And to give you an idea of what a two-way race would look like, where it'd be a 15% win or so, you would have to be looking at something around like a 57-43 result or a 58-42 result for Michelle Wu to win by more than 15% of the vote. And based on how the last race went, where Michelle Wu ended up winning by 64-35.6, it's possible that the race could be closer, but ultimately when everything is said and done, I do think Michelle Wu does win re-election. Whether she wins by 15 points or more, that is still very much yet to be determined, but at this current point in time, I think she wins by just a little bit over 15%, really without having too much of a problem in this race. I think she wins re-election by a pretty considerable amount. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you did, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about this race. Do you think Michelle Wu is going to win? Do you think Josh Kraft is going to win this race? If you're from Boston or Massachusetts, which of these two candidates would you prefer ends up winning this mayoral election? Leave it all down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in a future video.